Iran's foreign minister has described talks with the US delegation in Rome over Tehran's nuclear program as constructive and moving forward. Abbas Araghchi told the Iranian broadcaster that he hoped Tehran will be in a better position to, quote, judge the possibility of reaching an agreement. At their second indirect meeting in a week, Araghchi negotiated for almost 4 hours in Rome with Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff. An Omani official shuttled messages between them. A third round of negotiations is expected to take place next week. I'd like to welcome Alex Vatanka, now Senior Fellow and Iran expert from the Middle East Institute in Washington, D.C. Great to have you here. Now, Iran says these negotiations with the US are moving forward and that they're constructive. What do you think that means?
Great to be with you. No, that's what we've heard, not just from the Iranian side, including Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister, as you just quoted him. He's been very... well, I shouldn't say very, but definitely on the hopeful side in his remarks following the last round of talks with the American side. The Omanis are saying the same thing, essentially that diplomacy is working, that this process is moving forward, that there should be hope. At the same time, both Iran and Oman are also making clear that things could go south, if you will, if the American side starts changing what they would call the goalpost. So far, the U.S. has not been as positive as the Iranians in terms of describing these rounds of talks in Rome, but they haven't rejected anything the Iranians have said either. So we have to wait and see, perhaps get a better sense from Washington. But if the Iranians are right in saying that more talks will be held on Wednesday and then again on Saturday, then clearly this process still has some life in it.
Let's talk a bit more about Washington and what you described as potentially moving the goalpost. We've seen how impatient Donald Trump can be or has been when it comes to reaching some kind of deal when it comes to Russia and Ukraine. Is his approach to Iran in this particular situation any different?
No, I mean, look, President Trump wants diplomacy with Iran to work, and he would rather have a deal tomorrow than next month or next year. That is his style. He really operates along these lines. He doesn't have necessarily the patience for the technical teams to move in and sort everything out before an announcement is made. The problem President Trump has is that the Iranians don't want to play that game. And if you ask the Iranians why, they will tell you they need guarantees that they're not going to, at the end of this process, feel like they had been taken for a ride, or worst case scenario, being humiliated. And they will point out, again, I'm speaking on the behalf of the Iranians because that's basically their talking point, that it was President Trump who in 2018 walked away from what Iran will describe as a perfectly good working deal that Obama administration had signed in 2015. So for Iran, the big question is, how do they know that President Trump or somebody else after him will not walk away from another nuclear deal? And I think essentially that's what the fight is about. It's about not so much about, whether Iran should enrich uranium or not. It seems that both sides agree Iran can. It seems to be the case, although that could change too.
Okay.
It's really the question of sanctions relief, what Iran wants in terms of sanctions being lifted and guarantees at a new deal will not be one that another American president can just walk away from.
Now, both sides have agreed to meet, I think, in a week. What happens next?
So all I can tell you is what Araghchi said to the Iranian media just a few hours ago. He was saying that the framework is sort of sharpening up. It's clear that the focus will be on Iran's nuclear program in terms of enrichment, what happens with, the enriched uranium that exists in Iran and so forth. Whether that should get shipped out to another country, how do you, make sure Iran does not take steps towards weaponizing if that's what they end up choosing. So for that, you need technical teams to move in. And Araghchi, if you want to believe him, is saying that these technical teams will meet on Wednesday in Oman. Again, I'm just quoting what the Iranian foreign minister has said. Once the technical teams have met, then there will be more political consultation. Whether it's Witkoff and Araghchi, again, remains to be seen, but that will be on Saturday next week from today. So, in short, what we are hearing so far, at least from the Iranian side, is that the bottom line in terms of the focus of these talks is on the Iranian nuclear program. and that there is traction, and this process right now, as of today, is moving forward. But as I said, we haven't really heard the same thing exactly from Washington. Maybe they will agree, or maybe they'll have something else to say.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Alex. That's Alex Vatanka, Iran expert from the Middle East Institute in Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Thank you.